Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my Christmas book haul part 1. The reason that I say part 1 is because I got a whole bunch of gift cards for Christmas and I've already put in one online order with the gift cards, and then there's a couple of pre-orders that I want to do that I'm not going to get for a little while. Plus, I have a lot of books to show you guys, and if I included all of that in one haul, no one has time for that. So I thought I would split it up between 2 different book hauls and 2 different videos. But before we go ahead and get on into the books, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I post new videos every Sunday and every Wednesday and sometimes on Friday. Also, don't forget to check down in the description box for links to all of my social media, including my Discord and my Patreon. The first books I'm going to share with you guys are all part of a series, and that is The Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. This is an adult high fantasy series, and I've just heard so much about it, and it is one of the series that I wanted to start in 2021. In fact, I'm currently reading Malice. I'm about 150 pages in and already hooked. I'm really liking it. It's definitely got a lot of that traditional fantasy feel to it. But the books in this series include Malice, Valor, Ruin, and Wrath. And I actually am hosting a buddy read for Malice over on my Discord, so if you're interested in joining us, just click the link below. I did have a copy of this book, but it had severe water damage, so I was so happy when I finally got the whole series and I could add it to my collection. The next book I got is Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. This is book 3 in the Nevernight Chronicles, and I still haven't read Nevernight, and I have the whole series and haven't read it, so there's no excuse for me to not start this series. And I've never read anything by Jay Kristoff himself. I've read the YA sci-fi series he wrote with Amy Kaufman, the Aurora cycle, and really loved it. So I'm really hoping that I will enjoy Nevernight, even though I know this is like an adult series that's full of violence. It's about an assassin. It's nothing like a YA sci-fi series, but it is a trilogy that I'm interested in. And like I said, I have no excuse to start it now because I have all 3 books. The next book I got was Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This I actually bought myself from thriftbooks.com. It was not a gift, but I included it in the haul. So I am participating in the Malazan read-along hosted by Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews, and we're starting obviously with Gardens of the Moon. This is a series that I'm very excited to try again. I actually have tried this book twice and never finished it, but I'm excited to try it now that there's a community out there where I can talk kind of through my thoughts and feelings about what's going on. I've already started this. I'm about 30 pages in, but I'm just interested to see how I interpret this book now that I'm more of a seasoned fantasy reader than I was years and years ago when I first attempted it. The next 2 books were sent to me by one of my subscribers and patrons, Alex. So once again, thank you so much for sending these to me. I am so excited to get to them. The first one is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is book 1 in her newest Scrollomance series. It's a dark academia series. And first off, this is a gorgeous cover. I absolutely love the black and gold, and even the inside, like the flaps and then the end papers are so beautiful. It's just a pretty book. But as far as I know, this book follows a school where you have to compete and go through all of these trials in order to graduate, and if you don't, then you die. Like, there is no other option. You can't fail, you just die. And we follow a main character that learns that she possesses this really dark gift and she has to learn how to control it. I read Uprooted by Naomi Novik, and it's probably one of my favorite standalone fantasy books. She is so atmospheric in her writing that I'm definitely interested to see how her writing style translates to like a dark academia. So I'm really excited to have this in my possession. The next book I got from Alex was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And this is a YA Romeo and Juliet retelling, but it takes place in 1926 Shanghai, I believe. I'm currently reading Romeo and Juliet with my English 1 students, and when I saw that this book was coming out, I was like, you know what? I don't think I've ever read a like modern Romeo and Juliet retelling, even though this is historical. It's still more modern than the 1500s when the original was written. I just was really interested to see how a modern author can reinterpret such an iconic story into a 1920s setting over in Asia. It's just fascinating. Plus, I just love the title. I mean, that's one of the most famous lines from the story. You know, these violent delights have violent ends by Friar Lawrence. So I'm all about this because I'm currently reading Romeo and Juliet and I'm kind of in the mood for this story. So I'm looking to pick this one up very soon. The next 4 books I'm going to be showing you are all sci-fi books. If you've watched any of my 2021 goals videos, you'll know that science fiction is a genre that I want to spend more time reading this year. So I picked up book 5 in the Expanse series, which is Nemesis Games. This is a series that I've just slowly been acquiring the books. Book 9, or is it book 10, comes out this year, the final books in the series. And I also want to read these, get caught up so I can get caught up to the TV show. But this is just a space opera that follows a captain named Holden. And in book 1, Leviathan Wakes, they kind of came across something called a photomolecule that was taking over people. And it's just the only space opera that I've ever read. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to continue on with the series. And like I said, get caught up so I can jump into the TV show again. And I have books 1 through 5 now, and I need to read books 3 through 5, so I have a lot of catching up to do this year. The next book is a book that I have seen in the bookstore for years and years and years, and I've always debated if I should invest the money in reading it, and I ended up picking up the omnibus for The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This is all 5 novels in one, and this is such a famous series, and I've never read it. I've seen the movie. I think there's just one movie like years and years ago. I don't even remember it, but I know this is an extremely humorous space opera type story, and I just feel like any sci-fi reader should have read this. It's kind of like the staple in that genre. So I decided just to pick it up. It was $15 for all 5 books. I'm like, you can't beat that. And I'm super happy to have this in my collection. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but now that I have it, I'm pretty sure that I will be getting to it sooner rather than later. Next, I picked up a collection of Philip K. Dick's short stories. This is the author that wrote the story that inspired Blade Runner, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and that is the only book of his that I have read, but this is a compilation of his short stories. Several of his short stories have inspired movies such as Total Recall and Minority Report, and I've been wanting to read them for the longest time, especially Minority Report. That's probably one of my favorite science fiction movies out currently, and I knew that he had written a story that had inspired it, so I definitely want to read it. And I also really enjoyed Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, so I'm excited to read more of Philip K. Dick's works. So this is a book that I also have had on my radar for the longest time and decided just to go ahead and grab it. And it includes 5 of his most iconic short stories. And lastly, I picked up Hyperion by Dan Simons. This is another science fiction book that I've seen around, but I don't really know much about, and it's kind of one of those books that I feel like you need to read if you're a sci-fi reader. I believe it was published in the 80s, and I've never read anything by this author before. I don't even know if this is a standalone or if it's part of a series, but it is a winner of the Hugo Award. All I know is that it follows this planet called Hyperion, and on Hyperion there is this creature called the Shrike, and no one really knows what it is, if it's dangerous. Some people think it's a god, and there are several people that travel to Hyperion to learn more about it on the eve of Armageddon. So I don't even know if this is a book that I'm going to like. It just sounds like something I've never read before, and I wanted to give it a go. Alright you guys, so that is part 1 of my Christmas book haul. As soon as I get all of my other books in the mail and go ahead and pick up some of my pre-orders, I will be doing a second book haul. Let me know in the comments some books that you got for Christmas, or if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, and I will see y'all soon in another video. Goodbye!